aika huivit ylös nostaa. SJK! Ei me luovuteta koskaan, ei koskaan. SJK! Jos et tajunnut tosta, niin se Seinäjoen jalkapallokerho. SJK! Ja muita joo, eikä tuu, se on meidän kerho. Pallo keskelle ja menossi aika, mutta odotuks se kentällä teoiksi. Oltiin sitten kotona tai vieralla maalla, niin ei meiltä pisteitä niin vaan saada. Kentältä et löydä heikkoa lenkkiä, taso pysyy korkealla, vai kattosi penkkiä.
Nouskaa meidän SJK:lle, nostakaa huivit ilmaan. Laulatan voitaan asti, joko kuulee koko Pirkanmaa.
Okay. Moi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Jules, and this is the Seinäjoki Football Supporters Podcast, bringing you news, reviews and interviews from SJK Seinäjoki.
Yeah, but we're doing it in English for an international fan base. So what's in this week's show, Jules?
Well, episode 7, we'll look back at last Friday's away win at Haka. We'll explain the Euro qualifiers again, because we didn't do a good job last time. And now it's clearer, now because the Finnish Cup has been decided. And we're joined by a very special guest, SJK Head Coach Stevie Grieve.
Welcome, Stevie.
Thanks for the invite.
You're very welcome, and it only took us 3 goes to get through that intro. So thanks for staying with us all the way through. We'll talk with Stevie about the Haka game first of all, but firstly, I'd like to kick off with a couple of shout outs and thank yous, because we've had a couple of comments on the YouTube channel. One of them was quite simple and the other one was a little bit more complicated, but Kailoteja commented, "Love you guys," which is always nice to hear that someone loves us guys, and they've commented a couple of times already on our videos. And then someone whose handle is Cool Day and then lots of letters and numbers has actually gone through all the remaining fixtures in the Mestaruussarja and predicted what they think the result's going to be in a kind of football pools way, 1 for a home win, 2 for an away win, all the way through to the end of the season, and then predicted where they think the table's going to come at the end of the season. And I'm not going to go through all of those because that's too boring, but
Did you do the final points?
Yeah, their prediction is that HJK finished top on 54, KuPS second on 52, Ilves third on 48, SJK fourth on 47, Haka fifth on 38, and Vepsu sixth on 32.
Yay!
Which, I don't necessarily want to get involved in agreeing or disagreeing with them, but the fact that someone bothered to go to that effort and put it all on our YouTube channel under the previous episode, so fair play. Thanks. Thank you.
The first thing we should go on now. After that is moving on to, if you're not in Finland and you haven't been following, then you've got my song at the start. Then we did win in Valkeakoski, 3-0 away win, very good. So shall we ask the man himself about what does he think about the result and the performance and how things went?
Yeah, let's do that. Stevie, you and I exchanged a few messages afterwards. I, obviously, as a fan with Jules, drove down there and back, 8-hour round
without
trip.
a speeding ticket.
Without a speeding ticket, yeah. And the round trip took us 8 hours, and we came home with 3 points and 3 goals. So we were really happy. But how did you see the game?
But obviously we got off to a good start. Scored quite early. It's a million miles offside. So I'm sorry. I said to Andy after the game, I feel for him because Ilves got one which was miles offside last week, which gets it to 2-1, and then we start the game off with a 1-0 head start, and it's a million miles offside. So, but Rasmus does well to score it, and then I think from that point on it was pretty comfortable, even though Haka kind of had the ball. We sat off them at 1-0 because we don't really expect them to break us down. We just controlled all the spaces and then picked them off.
What does it mean for a team when we score so early? Does it change your instructions at all? I mean, does it change the rhythm of the game?
For us, no. We just play, and of course, maybe 5 minutes before halftime and 5 minutes before the end of the game, you might adapt and be a bit more direct or safe, or in the second half, for example, when we get to 2-0, Marcus and Valentin just sit in front of the back four and don't move, they don't rotate, and we don't try and be as fluid and expansive because there's no need to be. We're 2-0 up. But at 1-0, it's not like the game's not won. You see so many games now where a team scores first, loses 2-1. So for us, it doesn't really make any difference. We just continue to play normally. And then when Casper scores the second goal to make it 2-0, it was just about being like really mature and disciplined. Because you know that Haka can score. They beat us on their own pitch already during the season and they played well. But I think for us, we looked really solid defensively. Kelvin made a slip just before half time and everybody sprinted back and there was 10 inside the box. And we've made like 4 blocks to make sure the ball doesn't go in the goal. So you're at 2-0, and it could easily be 2-1 and it's a different game. And I think even at 2-0, I think they had maybe a couple of shots which went under the bar, but you would expect Hemel to save them. They're good saves. But then every time we went forward, we looked like we would score. So yeah, it's good to get an early start, but it doesn't fundamentally change your approach.
It changed my approach because I relaxed a little bit. But although it's only when the third one goes in that you actually think, okay, now we're probably safe.
Maybe as the fan thinks, I see when you're coaching the side, you're just like, nah, you can never relax. You can never switch off. Like even like when you're looking at subs, as much as you trust all the guys on the bench, you know that you can change the dynamic of the game really easily by making a change because it might take the player that comes on 10 minutes to get going. And that 10 minutes might result in a couple of chances, a bit of momentum, then a goal. And games are quite fragile. I don't think people fully grasp that. You can go from being 2-0 up to 2-2 in 5 minutes. It happens all the time. Like in the Finnish Cup, we were 2-0 up against Ilves and they had a couple of chances and Harala scored 2 and it's 2-2 at half time. And the game fundamentally changes. So you're never like we're 1-0 up, all right, great, we're going to win this game. Even when we're 1-0 up in the first 40 seconds against Lahti, I think the stadium were expecting us to go on and win the game comfortable. And it ends up 5-5. Like it's just you never actually relax ever.
No, certainly not in that game where we seemed comfortable at the very beginning and then we were chasing it right to the very end and got the equaliser in the last minute. That was quite something. Did we cover that one, Jules? Was that just before we started, maybe?
Before we started.
Yeah, I think it was.
I was in England for that one.
Yes, you were.
So
okay,
I missed that one. Yeah.
You said before, Stevie, the goal was offside. In the WhatsApp group that we've got connected to this podcast, we shared the video of the highlights, and someone also sent a picture, like a photo of quite how many players were in an offside position. But as you said, the ball went into the box from Lewis Strapp. It was not really cleared, but played across to Rasmus Kaurilainen, who struck it in from around the edge of the box, low into the bottom corner. And it was a nice.
It was clearly offside, but it's not one of those that I was checking the flag straight away because Rasmus, he kind of comes back onside, if you know what I mean. He gets the ball and then he kind of goes round the defender again. So the defender comes back and then he comes going. There's a defender between him before he shoots. So I know it's offside, but it's not one of those that you're thinking, oh, that's offside straight away when we're looking at it from behind the goal.
I didn't know it was offside until after. I didn't know. Like from where I was standing, you could never tell. Lewis said when he got down the side, he said, I knew Rasmus was offside. And it wasn't for him, it was for Jaime and Casper. And then Casper said he's running through and he's like, I'm not going to say a word, like, don't, like, you can't shout, don't be offside. Yeah, it was a shambles, to be honest.
But was it given because it was this kind of second phase of play sort of situation that you hear people talking about sometimes?
His first touch, he was offside.
Right,
like,
okay.
Put it this way, right? It is offside and it's fundamentally changed the game.
But we still don't want VAR.
No.
Okay, if we don't want VAR, fine. But what I would say is we've been on the wrong end of so many decisions that you would like to think that maybe you would get lucky with one. And if this is us getting lucky with one decision, fine. Because we have had so many go against us that have fundamentally changed the outcome of games and cost us points, that if this has helped us gain a point or 2 points or 3 points, fine. you would like to think that these things balance themselves out over the season. And unfortunately for Haka, it's happened to them 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Rasmus was instrumental in the second.
Sorry?
A great finish by Rasmus for the first goal.
Yeah.
It was, and I was about to say that he was instrumental in the second goal with his work down the left wing, getting to the byline, pulling it back into the 6-yard box for Kasper Pannanen to smash it home inside the 6-yard box.
Glorious finish.
It kind of bounced off both of his shins and went in from about a yard, and he did have the humility to run over to the fans, but with a quite sheepish look on his face.
The kind of finish that I'm capable of.
Yeah, but I've seen you miss them from there as well, Jules.
Well, not if it's in my own net.
No,
I bury them each time.
That's true, yeah. And the game was finished off later in the second half with a cross to the far side of the left-hand side of the Haka box, and Jaime Moreno, he didn't hammer it towards the goal. He placed it towards the goal. It took a bit of a nick off a defender's leg and sort of lifted it up over any other defenders into the back of the net. Couldn't see it so well from where we were at the ground, but looking at the highlights, you know, he's there, and he's put himself at the top of the goal scoring charts as well.
Yeah, like the second goal, Kasper's done really well to get us out in transition and then switch it, and then Rasmus 1v1 and puts it across the goal. Like stuff that we work on all the time. It's nice to see when it works. And then Jaime's one, like we haven't scored from a set piece for a while. We were scoring all the time from set pieces, and we started to we reviewed like all the things we were doing, and because we treat these as one-off games, we've come up with like one-off corners for different opponents. So things that teams can't really scout, because we've done a bunch of stuff that are consistent all the time, but because of the way Haka set up, we came up with a routine to make sure that we could get Jaime into a position at the back post where he scores from.
And is that based on things you've seen them doing in previous games?
It's like most of the stuff that we do will be based on like fundamental principles. So if they like, okay, if we put Fallu at the front post, what do you do? Do you leave him 1v1 or do you try and help? So most teams are going to help and say, right, we'll send 2 or 3 to Fallu. So then that draws people more towards the front. Well, then how do you get Kelvin on the attacking phase? Well, you need to put the ball in a certain area. So maybe you need to create a screen or a block or a runner or whatever. So are they zonal or they man-to-man, and where's the zone set up? Who's the main guy that attacks the ball? Do you want to entice the keeper to come for it or not? Fortunately, we've got Puru, Marcus and Valentin, whose deliveries are all really good. So you can put the ball basically wherever you want. So based on how a team sets up, we've got different routines that we'll create. But then for this one, we spent a little bit of time on Thursday morning going through the routine of how do we get everybody to attack the zones that we always want to attack, but also how do we make sure that we've got every zone covered. So if it's a high cross, a low cross, if it misses everybody, do we have the players we want where they are? So yeah, Jaime scored off it in training a bunch of times, and then he scores in the game. Lewis hit the bar from one in the first half as well. Like Lewis hit one off the bar inside the back post with the same routine, so we're pretty happy with that.
Does this mean you mentioned that okay, the season's been going on, people know us, and so then we have to adapt. Does this the last 5 games, this series, is there a different approach to them? Is it the same as other regular games or not?
Maybe for other people, I treat them as cup games. So if you look at our approach in the cup games, we treated all of them slightly differently to make sure we were dominant in all of them, which we were, and we should have won the semi-final also. So that's the most disappointing thing, that we were watching the cup final yesterday, but we should have been in it. But we treat these games like cup games. We went to Hoyko, you go away from home and you go, right, okay, what do you want from it? Minimum a point. So when we're still trying to chase them down in the last minute, even after we've scored to 2-2, it's because we sense that we can get another one. And I think it's handball in the box. The referee said it was handball, but you couldn't give it because it hit the boy in the leg. But again, with Hoyko, it's a slightly different setup to playing against Haka. So it's not always the same approach.
Sorry, you said in the post-match interview that about provoking the opponents to do certain things in certain situations, in one-on-ones or by what you're doing, getting them to do a certain thing. So it sounded almost a bit like chess.
Yeah, like if you stand in front of a line of pressure and receive the ball back to goal, generally speaking, somebody will come and pressure you. So if I stand in front of you and I want you to press, I'm going to take it, set it, draw the pressure, bounce it off, and find the guy standing behind you now. So Haka are so compact that you want to try and find the third man, whether it's inside or outside a lot. There's one where Jaime runs through on goal and he's not offside, but the ref's given one offside, and I cannot argue with it because we got lucky with one 10 minutes before. So like, he's not offside, but I'm not, do you know what I mean? I'm not sitting here complaining about it. It's just, you get some, you don't get some, but we bounce it into Casper, into Fatty. We've got 4 players on the diagonal. It goes into Puru, sets it to Casper, Jaime runs behind. So we're always trying to find a way to get somebody from their established shape to leave some gaps that we can then play through. So it doesn't matter what team you play against, there's always the same sort of things. Like when we played Hoyko and it was a 3-3 game, the first goal we scored is probably, for me, it's goal of the season. And we've made about 15, 20 passes and then just went bang, 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 cut through them because Rasmus is in front of the right side centre back, provokes them, sets it, Jaime runs in behind them and scores. So you know that in every situation, who's going to press and who's not going to press, or did they drop or did they stay? It's when we study the opponent, we look like really clearly, like what do we expect them to do and how do we find a way through them.
And what then? Maybe, Jules, we can move on to the upcoming game at the weekend, or do you have anything else?
Stevie just mentioned watching the cup game.
Yeah.
So, on Saturday there was the Finnish Cup, which went to extra time, and eventually KuPS ran out the winners 2-1. They did their trick that they did against us, scoring in the very last minute or very, very close to the end to get it to extra time, and then they actually scored a goal and run out winners, which means they bag a European place already. Shall we explain what's going?
Yeah. Let's do it. So we talked about this on Thursday. So now KuPS, they're going to finish in the top 3 places.
Well, actually, they need to finish top 2 for us.
Yeah. Well, okay. So if they finish in the top 2 places, it means that they're one of the European, because they've already got a European place. If they win the league, they get into the Champions League, and their Europa Conference place drops down. So then it would be 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah. So 3rd place is automatically straight into Europe, and 4th place is automatically into the European playoff final. And I think we should be finishing 3rd or 4th. So it makes it much easier for us.
And so the team finishing 3rd goes into that playoff final, and then
the team finishing 3rd goes into Europe.
Sorry, yeah. And now the team finishing 4th goes into that final.
Goes into the final.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meaning that the teams finishing 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th go into this playoff competition.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And in that case, 5th will play 8th, 6th will play 7th. The winners play each other.
It's not going to be us, so it doesn't matter.
But the winners play each other, and then the winners of that play the team that finishes 4th.
If you look at the league table just now, it's probably Turku, Nistan, VPS, and Haka, and then between those 4 teams, it's just a case of figuring out who's playing who. You would imagine that, Nistan and Turku are only 1 point apart, and VPS and Haka are 2 points apart. So that's the 4 teams that are in it. It's just a case of who's getting the 2 home games, and then has to play the team in 4th in the final. So now, could be us, could be Ilves, could be if Hoyko have a disaster because they're playing in Europe all the time. 5 points in 3 games is, you could catch that up. So
I think 2nd place for us is still a possibility. I don't know what you think, Stevie, but I think we got no chance of winning the league, or I don't think so. I'm not sure if mathematically we've even got a chance, but like 2nd place could happen if, as you said, if Hoyko blow up.
Yeah, for us to win the league, we can only take 9 more points, so we can only get to 49. KuPS are on 47, so the league's probably gone. And
it's not possible for all the teams to get 0 points because
basically for us to finish as high as possible, you're just hoping for draws and everybody 2 points. But again, like we don't. I've said this all season. I don't actually care what the other teams do. I only care about what we do. And then when the other teams are playing each other, if it's a draw, then great. It's 4 points dropped rather than if somebody wins, then there's 3 points dropped in some cases. So that's how I look at it.
So you're keeping very SJK focused, but does this cup result change anything for how you approach games? Or?
No, I think it just gives us the buffer that we know that we can finish fourth. Like, we're 5 points ahead of Haka. Haka have got 3 games to go. The most they can get to is 44. So we know that 4 points guarantees us fourth. So we need a win and a draw in our last 3 games to guarantee fourth, and that's assuming Haka take all their points. So we know that any points that they drop help us. We did our job at the weekend. We knew it was a big one to try and get a separation in the event that KuPS won the cup. Then it made us top 4. So now the next part is just one game at a time, and that's how we treated all the cup games. Take care of this game, and we treat these ones as cup games also. It's just take care of this game and see what happens around us. We can't control what Jules or Veikkausliiga do, so we don't worry about it. But every time there's a draw, it is helpful for us. But we just play our own game. We've taken care of the first 2 games. I think away to Veikkausliiga, getting a point from a losing position is obviously positive. And I don't think historically the club's record going away to that stadium is not great. Historically, the club's record going away to Haka is just as bad. So to go there and win 3-0 is pretty good. So
I can remember winning 6-0 in the semi-final of the cup there. So
maybe a while ago.
That was a while ago.
It was the year we won the cup, so that was 2016. So.
The boys were talking about it on the bus that like some of them have played in the league for so many years, and they're like, a lot of them have said, like, I can't remember ever winning away to Haka. It's one of those stadiums where teams just don't do well. So when you get the first 2 rounds of the fixtures and you're like away to Veikkausliiga and away to Haka, it's like, okay, let's see what we can do here. We take up 4 points. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Is it grass, Haka?
No, it's the slowest AstroTurf in the world.
Okay.
It's overgrown AstroTurf.
Honest to God, it is so slow. I didn't know the first game because we moved the ball and it was difficult. We kept getting in good positions and the game kept slowing down. And then we're looking at it this week and it was like, guys, just stay as close together as possible in the middle and then really fire it wide when we get a chance to. And that's the only time you can speed the game up. And we've done that. Like, we did pretty well with that. But you do actually have to adapt to playing on that pitch because it's
slower than wall sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's slower than wall sport. It's slower than Veikkausliiga's pitch. Veikkausliiga's pitch is pretty slow as well. Our one and Jules' ones are both like so fast that helps us. Probably helps Jules as well. KuPS's pitch is so slow also. So you have to take these things into consideration.
We've got another cup final, as you call them, Stevie, a cup match anyway, coming up on Saturday at home to VPS Vaasa. This is actually our 4th game against them this season and 3rd at home because we also had the home cup game, the incredible
mauling. I was going
to say the incredible 5-1 win. So how do you prepare for this game? What without telling us how your tactics or anything, but how do you prepare for this differently?
Are you going to be eating spinach pancakes for the whole week because it's a local derby?
I know things. Those look disgusting. Like for us, like
we'll edit that bit out.
Somebody offers me one of those things, absolutely no chance. Yeah, for us, like everybody knows how we play. We don't change how we attack for anybody, whether it's Veikkausliiga away, VPS at home, Mariehamn away, Lahti away. It doesn't really matter. Like, we play our own game. We're fluid, we're expansive, we're attack first. This is not a surprise to anybody. Tony was joking during the week because he's mates with Jussi, and he was like, if Jussi came to watch training the 2 days before a game, would you care? No, I wouldn't. Because nobody's going to learn anything new about our team. If the other team coach came to watch us, they would learn nothing new. They're attack first. We try and play third man a lot. We play tight combinations. It's not easy to analyse because it seems random, but it's not. It's very much just worked on like non-verbal communication and getting angles right. And if we do that and we're close together, then it suits us. So we don't approach the game any differently.
I'm not a football coach or an expert, so can you explain to me, what do you mean by third man? I've heard this quite a few times recently.
If you pass to Mark and the Mark passes to me, I'm the third man.
Right.
So,
okay. Yeah. Quite logical, really.
Like if you play a 1-2, you give it to Mark and you get it back. That's a 1-2.
It's a 1-2-3.
Like if you give it to Mark and Mark gives it to me and you start running and I play into you in the space behind, which is what we do quite a lot. It's the first player that passes it might run beyond and the third player might pass it in behind. Like you see Marcus doing it all.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
It's a bit late to start learning all these things now, Jules.
Well, I'm just thinking as well for people who aren't, there's lots of different listeners on this. And then we have a professional football coach and a lot of amateurs.
So Jules, how are you feeling about the game against Vaasa? What are your hopes for this game?
Well, statistically, they are the worst team they finished 6th, so they're the worst team there. Historically, we've beaten them twice at home. One was a mauling this season, and I think we were the better team. Well, we were happy coming back from Vaasa anyway, but that's in April. That's like a whole summer ago. So I'm feeling quite confident. But that said, I mean, it's a local derby. VPS will be hurting, so it's not taken for granted. But it will be. They're coming out fighting, weren't they? So, but I hope that we come out fighting and our class shows.
You're going to make a prediction?
I don't want to know any predictions. Don't tell me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask you to make a prediction because that will get used against you in the.
You tell me. I don't want to know your predictions either.
You don't want to know.
Of course not. Coaches hate that sort of stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, then we won't tell you our predictions. We'll put it in the notes.
Talking about predictions, we should give a shout out to Marco, who was at the Haka game, and he was actually hoping that we didn't score a fourth goal because he had a bet on for 3-0 and he won 150 euros or something
off of a €4 bet as well. Yeah, that's right. All right. On that point of not making predictions and giving Marco a shout out, I think, Jules, that just about wraps it up for this episode.
Everybody, get your bums down to the game on Saturday, 2:30. It's the last derby of the season. It's the second to last, hopefully, home game of the season, unless we get, if we qualify straight to Europe. Get down there. Let's make some noise. Let's enjoy it as well.
And bring your friends down there as well. If everyone takes one friend or encourages someone else to come along, then we get that big 4,500, 5,000 crowd and make a bit of a row.
Bring other people that aren't your friends as well. Maybe that you want to be your friends. Bring their mums, bring their dads, bring everybody.
Okay, but that does have to wrap it up for this episode. So thanks again to Stevie Grieve for joining us.
Cheers, lads.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Stevie generally because I've really enjoyed the football this season.
Thank you.
So thank you.
All right, and remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening. You can contact the Seinäjoki Supporters Podcast by email at seinäjokifootballpod@gmail.com, and you can find the links to our content on our link tree. Look for Seinäjoki Football Pod.
We also have a WhatsApp group to continue the conversation between podcasts. It's open to any fan of SJK, so if you want to join, email us and we'll send you the link to the group. Until the next episode, see you at the stadium on Saturday or see you online. Goodbye.
Hey,